Mike, good morning. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the programme.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, let's learn a little bit about you first before we get onto the company. When did you first start driving boats?
So I started driving boats when I was 18, so almost 20 years ago. I remember that was on a summer holiday in the south of France. Me and my father, we had a chat about motorboats. And we decided to do the boat licence there and then. So at the age of 18, I did my boat licence, and that's when I started driving boats very early on in my life.
And when did you become a boat owner?
So my first motorboat we bought 7 years ago, also in the south of France. That was also on the summer holiday. We sort of got talking about owning versus renting. We decided, why don't we try out to be boat owners? So we bought a small little motorboat, and that was 7 years ago.
So you were on holiday, and while you were on holiday, you bought a boat?
That is very true.
How did you get it home?
Well, we didn't. That's the thing. And that's where my pain point became apparent and materialised. So we have a small house here in the south of France. So I knew I would always come back here every summer for a week or two. So I thought, or back in the day, I thought that was a good idea to have a boat here. So whenever I come back, I could actually use this boat. But turned out that I wasn't really happy about that solution at all, as you can imagine.
Yeah, so you owned a boat which you could only use when you were on holiday in a different country.
That is absolutely correct.
So not the ideal spot to keep your boat.
Well, it's not the ideal solution, absolutely. Now, I know other boat owners. I've got many friends who are boat owners, and they tell me that they don't think the problem is the fact that I've got it in the south of France and I live in Switzerland. They believe that they've got, similar issues, even though their boat is in Switzerland and they live in Switzerland as well. Just like me, they won't take the boat out more than 8 times a year, 10 times if you're lucky. So we all share the same pain point. Now, in my case, it's just even a little bit more difficult to take it out because I've got 800 kilometers between Switzerland and France. But essentially, yeah, there's a pain point there.
Now, you live in Switzerland?
Yeah, I grew up in Switzerland, and most of my life I lived there.
Because you have a very English name, Adrian Walker. It's a very British sounding name. So what's your background?
My father is from London. He grew up in London, and he met my mother, who's from Switzerland. He met my mother in London 40 years ago. And together they decided to move to Switzerland, and they stayed there ever since. So my father, being English, he's lived in Switzerland for 40 years now. So I'm 50-50, half English, half Swiss.
Switzerland has no coastline. Do you do any boating in Switzerland on the amazing lakes and inland waterways?
Yes, thank you. We do have amazing lakes. And I will admit that we miss the sea and the beaches. We miss that dearly in Switzerland. However, we've got wonderful lakes. We've got the Lake of Zurich, got the Lake of Geneva to the west. So yes, there are quite a lot of boats around on those lakes. The problem, however, is the summer will last to about 2 months in Switzerland, June, July and August, if you're lucky, 2 to 3 months. So you see what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. Switzerland is somewhere that you associate with cold weather, isn't it? And cold weather sports, skiing and tobogganing.
We love to go skiing in the winter, absolutely.
So you have a son, Alex, and he's even more of a mix than you are because your wife, you're newly married actually, your wife Natalia, she is Ukrainian.
Natalia and I, we got married 2 months ago. She moved to England at the age of 13 from Ukraine. So she's English now, she speaks English, she speaks Russian. And my son, he's actually trilingual now. So at home, we speak a lot of English. But, in kindergarten, Alex, my son, he would switch into Swiss German. And sometimes, he would speak Russian with Natalia. So, yeah, he speaks 3 languages fluently.
Yeah, it's a gift, isn't it? Because I now live in Mallorca. The language of Mallorca, people think it's Spanish, but it's not. It's Catalan. So my daughter's at school here. She's schooled in Catalan and in Spanish, but we speak English at home, so she's also trilingual. It's an amazing gift we've given these kids.
Yeah.
So Natalia is a sailor.
She used to do a lot of sailing when she was younger. She's now looking into acquiring or doing the motorboat license as well. So yes, she shares the passion. So she's more of the sailor, I'm more of the motorboat driver.
Let's talk about BoatAffair then. We already know where the idea came from. You only use your South of France motorboat 8 or 10 times a year.
Yes.
So the rest of the year, pointless things. But no, it's not at all. But it seems it's a lot of money, isn't it, to spend? You're keeping a boat for just essentially a week or a week and a half's use every year. So that's what sowed the seed in your head for BoatAffair.
We are really solving our own problem. A year ago, we were sitting on our motorboats, and as per usual, I started to complain a little. I was saying to Natalia, look, this is such a shame. This is such a beautiful motorboat. It costs us a significant amount of money. We only use it 5, 7, 10 times a year if we're lucky. It's also bad for the boat. It's bad for the engine. It's not being properly used. So we started brainstorming and we were saying, you know what, Natalia said, if we could rent out this boat through a trusted process, not only would we get to know more people, not only could we share our boating experience, but we could also make some money back and the boat would be used. So that's how we started discussing the issue a year ago in the south of France, and that's how BoatAffair came to life.
It's a dating agency.
Yeah.
But for boats.
Oh, I love that. So thanks for that, Mike. Yeah, that's a neat way of putting it, yeah.
So there are people seeking boats, and there are boats seeking people on your website, basically. That's how it works.
Exactly. We're a boat matchmaking company. We enable boat owners and boat seekers to directly rendezvous online via our boutique platform.
What countries do you operate in?
Currently, we have a small fleet in Greece and Cyprus, and that was a deliberate decision. We wanted to start up in Greece. You've got a long season there. You've got 7 months of fantastic weather to go boating. Our head of business development lives in Athens. That's why we decided to go to Greece. I have had boat owners approach me from Switzerland who read about us on social media. I've got my own boat in the south of France I'm renting out in 2 days. We want to start walking, not running, prove that the system works, get some traction going, and we want to pretend that we don't want to scale in the first year, if that makes sense, just to get everything right.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, the thing about boats and boating, it's not like renting a car, is it? Because licenses and permissions and that sort of thing vary from country to country, right?
You're spot on there, yeah. Every country carries their own flag. So you've got insurance issues to worry about, license issues.
And what about things like passage planning and, finding a fuel dock and knowing if you can take a pet or, all those little elements which are very simple if you rent a car, but very different if you rent a boat.
So we've got a messaging function on our online platform. So we enable the boat seeker to talk to the boat owner so they can connect online, and whatever questions the boat renter may have, they can ask the boat owner, and the other way around. So we know that the boat owner wants to know who is going to rent my boat. The boat renter also wants to know, do you have an itinerary that you would recommend to us, and where do I get petrol? Can I plan a trip with you on board, or is it strictly only without a captain? So you've got a lot of elements that boat renters want to talk about, and you've got a lot of issues that boat owners want to ask boat renters. So that's why we created this messaging function. It looks a bit like WhatsApp, to be honest. We made it look like a chat so that it's really user-friendly, so people actually use it. And so boat seekers and boat owners get to interact directly with a matchmaker.
And things like booking slips, booking a place to park for the night.
Yeah.
Have you made arrangements with companies that will organise that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to enter into a partnership with another startup from Denmark. If you rent out a sailing boat via our boutique platform, you can use our partner app to look for berths in harbours. So if you're around Mallorca and you're in the near this harbour or that harbour, you can actually open your application, look at this harbour, and you can talk to the harbour directly and ask them, look, I'll be at your harbour this afternoon at around 5 p.m. My sailing yacht is 8 metres long. I need a berth for the night. Would you have one?
So BoatAffair, you have to access it via the website, or is there an app for your smartphone?
So currently we have a website only. However, we've got a fantastic mobile-friendly version. So whatever you do on the laptop or your MacBook, you can also do on your mobile device.
So boat owners in Greece, anyone who owns a boat in Greece who wants to rent out that boat, they can go to your website, BoatAffair, right now, and they can list their boat and find renters for their boat. What do they do? How easy is it?
The moment you decide, I want to rent out my boat, you can go to our website and you can register your profile. And that's very easy. It will take you less than 2 minutes to register your profile. Once you've got your profile, you hit the button, list my boat. And we will guide you through the entire process. And it's really straightforward and it's all on one page. We recommend you upload 5 to 10 high quality pictures. The better the pictures, the more likely it is that you rent out the boat. Say a word or two, a sentence or two about your insurance. You get to choose from one of our 5 cancellation policies, and that's it. And then you click submit, and your boat is submitted to our management team. And we will typically respond within 24 hours, and we will then approve the boat. So it's a straightforward process. It's all on one page. And we made sure that it's intuitive.
And this is a fantastic way to make ownership and boat use more affordable.
Absolutely. You can get back some of the costs that you've incurred. You get to share the costs with your boat renters. And boat renters have a transparent process of finding a boat. So it's a win-win situation.
Adrian Walker, thank you so much for talking to Boat Radio.
Mike, it's been my pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for having me on this programme. Yeah, thanks a lot.